Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Master of Weapon for the Sega Mega Drive. In this 1990 shoot-'em-up from Taito, humanity has created a god system supercomputer to restore the planet post-nuclear war, but a mutant called N takes over the machine to destroy us all. Now it's up to an android and a superjet to defeat N and teach us all to stop putting our faith in supercomputers. Or maybe not, because as an android, that might sound counterintuitive. In any case, we should still have faith in Mr. Android, because he's the master of weapons. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be plural and the title is just a translation error, because this game is all about the weapon upgrades, which are everywhere. I swear, there's almost as many power-ups as there are enemies floating around the screen. But not all power-ups are created equal. Speed boosts are great because they let you dodge faster and increase the power of your butt rocket to damage enemies that try to sneak up from behind. And firepower upgrades are also great because they expand the spread of your standard cannon, whose bullets look like candy. Or flowers. Or maybe candy flowers. Unfortunately, only 3 of the 5 auxiliary weapons are any good. The piercer is literally just the standard cannon, so picking up P icons is only good for overriding a side weapon that you actually wanted. And the laser has such short range that it's basically useless even though it damages ground and air enemies simultaneously. The wide shot is a little better because it sends out a star formation attack to do heavy damage to anything in its path, and the guided blast is excellent because its glowing green beans of death automatically target any incoming threat. And best of all is the H-bomb, which damages everything on screen. I like to save these for the bosses, which isn't so hard to do since it's the only secondary weapon that doesn't get swapped out if you accidentally pick up a different one. Unfortunately, it's a single-use bomb, whereas the other side weapons can be used indefinitely, as long as you're patient enough to wait for the power meter to recharge between blasts. And I'm always patient. I'm sometimes patient. Under certain circumstances, I can be, okay, I'm not very patient, but when the payoff is unleashing glowing green beans of death upon my foes, I can handle a brief waiting period. And speaking of foes, Master of Weapon has some neat enemies to fight. The standard bad guys aren't too interesting, but each boss is a cool 2-part battle where you have to destroy a stone head to reveal a robot brain, or a googly-eyed skull, or a googly-eyed, whatever this is. And the final boss is this creepy skeletal alien with a big claw and a sideways mouth full of fangs. Dope. He's even rendered with this dramatic 2-tone lighting, and the other bosses have a similar comic-style treatment with these great heavy black shadows. Unfortunately, as well rendered as the individual elements are, the graphics as a whole feel a bit disconnected, and the plain old city backdrops are a little uninspired, except for the stage with the highway in the sky. There's some cool depth there that makes up for the blandness of fighting mutant bad guys on, well, a highway. I wouldn't call the sound design in Master of Weapon either bad or good. It's just sorta weird. The explosions sound oddly wet, and the extended echoey collection chimes break the flow of the audio entirely. Chiptunes can also lean pretty heavily into an ambient territory that's so avant-garde it hardly feels like a video game soundtrack at all. I mean, what's going on here? The most novel aspect of Master of Weapon is the ground bombs. Plenty of shoot-'em-ups have bombs for ground-based threats to pair with the cannon for airborne enemies, but this game approaches that mechanic differently by, sort of forgetting about it. The ground turrets here are some of the least threatening land enemies I've ever seen in a shooter, and half of them don't even fire at you. They're just set dressing that you can detonate for extra points if you want. I certainly don't mind though. My brain can only focus on one altitude level at a time, so I just mindlessly auto-fired my bombs to pick off turrets by happy accident whenever they happen to line up with my crosshairs. With that in mind, Master of Weapon isn't particularly difficult for a shoot-'em-up. After practicing all the levels using save states for unlimited lives, I was able to go back and beat the game legit on the default easy mode. Granted, I did still max out the stock and continues in the options menu, but if the game is willing to give them to me, who am I to refuse? My favorite part of Master of Weapon is the brief length. At just 20 minutes for a full playthrough, it's perfect for a quick shoot-'em-up fix. But if I could change one thing here, I'd balance out the usefulness of the secondary weapons. Come to think of it, maybe it's called Master of Weapon and not Master of Weapons, as a hint that only 1 or 2 of the power-ups are any good. Well played, Taito. It was a subtle hint all along. Overall, Master of Weapons certainly isn't a top-tier shoot-'em-up for the Mega Drive library, but that doesn't stop it from being fun. And even if a single playthrough is all it's good for, that's fine, because the typo in the title likes to keep things singular too.